Back in April 18th to be precise, I tested positive for coronavirus. You know about that. We've talked about it on this programme. Well, the virus went after about 10 days, and I thought everything was OK. But now, of course, I'm realising the long tail of the tornado that is coronavirus. I've written about it in an article which is on CNN.com. Perhaps you'd care to take a look at it. It talks about the long symptoms that keep coming back. They won't go away, and new ones come along all the time. The latest one is being clumsy. I just drop things. I fall over furniture. Fell in the streets on the way back from doing some shopping the other day. Things were right in front of my nose and my eyes, and hands just don't acknowledge them. Our CNN medical analyst, Dr. Celine Gounder, is with me, the epidemiologist and infectious disease specialist. She joins me now. So this idea that you get it, it goes, you carry on. Those of us who've had it simply say that's not the case. There is this long tail of symptoms. What's going on?
Well, Richard, I'm really sorry that you're one of those unfortunate people who is still having symptoms this far out. You know, a lot of this has to do with how the virus causes disease. It does cause damage in and of itself, but much of the disease is really about our immune system responding to the virus, causing massive inflammation. So it's sort of a dysregulated response. And in addition, a key part of this is specifically inflammation of the blood vessels. And one of the things we're seeing in autopsies, and obviously we're not going to do an autopsy on a live person like you, but in people who've passed away, we are seeing tiny clots, blood clots all over the body, which are probably part of the story as to why people have lingering symptoms.
And this is something that isn't fully appreciated. And one of the things, of course, and I'm not criticising, is doctors who I'm seeing, and doctors, others, many of them are saying, I don't know, or we don't know, or we haven't discovered that aspect of it. And that seems to be different to most other forms of viruses that come along. Here, there's a level of unknown about it. Would you agree?
Well, sure. I mean, this is something that only emerged in China in late December, you know, that only arrived in Europe after that, in the US after that. So we haven't had more than a few months to study it, to see what might happen. You know, the longest anybody has survived since getting COVID is several months. So I can't really predict, none of us can predict for sure what this might look like a year or two years, you know, more after having had the infection.
What would you say to somebody who says, look, Quest is still there, fine, he had a bit of a difficult time about it, but he worked right the way through, he's still broadcasting, people I know have got it, yeah, they've got a lingering, you know, it's no big deal. What would you say?
Well, I think for someone like you or me who are very high-level professionals, I think every tiny amount of loss in productivity actually means a lot in terms of how much we're able to get done on the job. I think people like you or I are also lucky that we have access to very, very good medical care and support. I think it's also important to remember that a lot of people aren't so lucky, don't have those supports, and they may be working in more manual professions, perhaps, where that loss of you're just able to function is just really damaging.
Do you worry that the symptoms will never go away?
Well, you know, there are these vasculitis, autoimmune, rheumatologic diseases, some of which we think can be kicked off potentially by an infection that do become lifelong conditions. Whether COVID will be one of those, we just don't know right now.
Celine, it is good to have you. I'm very grateful. Thank you for joining us.
Feel better.